Hi, everybody. Today we have Joanna Fuhrman with us. She is an author of 6 books of poetry, including To a New Era, Hanging Loose Press, The New Year of Yellow Butterflies, Hanging Loose Press, and Pageant, Alice James Books. She is a former poetry editor for Ping Pong and Bong City and served as the Monday night coordinator for the poetry readings at the Poetry Project from 2001 to 2003, and the Wednesday night coordinator from 2010 to 2011. She currently teaches poetry writing at Rutgers University and coordinates the introduction to creative writing classes. Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about when you started writing.
Okay. I think I always wrote, but I sort of started thinking of myself as a quote unquote poet somehow in middle school. And it was just this feeling I had when I wrote something in middle school. It felt different. And then I got really interested in reading poetry around. And then I continued writing in high school and college and on and on.
When did you decide to first publish your poetry?
Well, I published a little bit in middle school, which was a weird experience because there was this thing called Merlin's Pen, which was a magazine for young people, like middle schoolers, and they like changed my poem without my permission. So that was not such a good experience.
No, that's awful.
And but I recovered. And then I found out about Hanging Loose, who published my books. They have a high school section in their magazine, which is like 55 years old. Anyway, so I sent them poems, and then I started publishing in their magazine when I was a teenager. And yeah, and then they solicited my first book.
Very cool.
A long time. Unfortunately, Bob Hirschon, who was one of the founders and one of the editors, recently died. So it's been a hard year.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think some of the hardest challenges are, either in writing or, just in general?
Hardest challenges. I mean, I'm interested in kind of experimental surrealist poetry, which is maybe even more marginal. So right now my internet connection is unstable, so I may be fuzzing in and out. But yeah, so that can be hard in a way because you dedicate your life to something that not that many people care about. But I think I'm lucky in that I live in New York, where there are a lot of poets. So I don't often notice how marginal I am.
I have to say, my son and I went up to New York maybe 3 years ago. It was a great city.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think, it took me a really long time just to have a stable job. And the fact that I finally have one as of 3.5 years ago is like a miracle. Because before 3.5 years ago, I'd written, 5 books. I'd been teaching to pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
So, and God forbid, health insurance was just such a nightmare all the time. So, I mean, now I have good health insurance, but it took me a really long time. And the only way that I eventually got it just feels like some miracle, and it shouldn't be a miracle to have health insurance. It should be, everyone should be able to access health insurance, but it's just been really hard.
Well, now that you have a job, how do you find time to write? Because I know that's like one of my challenges as well.
Well, I mean, I always had a job. The problem was that I had like 6 jobs. The difference is that now I have 1 job. So it's a lot easier actually now that I'm not juggling so much. But I think I always just write, just while I'm doing other things, well, one great thing is I've always been teaching creative writing. So juggling so many things. But now I have a little more time. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you have like a certain place you like to go to write, or like a certain ritual that you do before you write, or?
I mean, ideally, I like to read. You know, I like to read poetry books before
Mhm.
I write, but sometimes I just feel like writing. You know, I say that because I was away last week and it was so nice to like write in the Airbnb, but most of the time I'm just home on
um,
my computer.
no worries. Where can we find your books
I
or your
guess,
poetry or?
yeah, well, yeah, you can buy my books online, you know, from the normal places, and probably, you know, um, or you can ask SBD, you can ask your local bookstore to order from SBD. Um, and then, you know, if you want to not order from one of the smaller places that need your money, you can always order from the bigger places, you know, of course,
Mhm.
like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, they're always going to have it, but it's better to order from SBD directly.
Okay. And what do you have coming up? Anything exciting?
So this weekend, well, I don't know when this is going to be posted, but this weekend is the New York City Poetry Festival in Governor's Island. So there's going to be a couple different events. There's going to be a tribute to Bob Hirschon, who is my publisher, and I'm going to read at that on Saturday at 4:30, I think, or maybe no, maybe that one's 5, I think. And then the next day, Sunday, if it's not raining, or even if it is raining, I'm reading for something called different things happening on different stages. And that's this weekend. And then in August, I'm going to give a Zoom reading through Moonstone Arts, which is a poetry organization in Philly, but it's going to be on Zoom. And then what else is going on? Oh, the day before that, I'm reading in New York at Freddy's Bar for Boog City's 30th anniversary. And then in New Jersey at a shopping mall, which might be like dystopic. I don't know. That's on August 20th with Christine Ham and Valerie Fox. And then in December, I'm going to read it for the New School with Elaine Equi on Zoom.
Very cool. Sounds a lot of fun too. A lot of great
Yeah,
events.
yeah. I think there are probably more coming up, but
It's nice to have these things happening again.
I don't know if things are going to be shut down. I'm like, oh, should I set up a reading somewhere? I don't know.
Everybody can do it on Zoom nowadays, I
I
guess.
guess, yeah, but I'd like to go some places.
Yeah. Um, Final thoughts. Do you have any words of wisdom to give young writers out there, or new writers, or somebody that's just starting out?
This poetry is sort of in conversation with other poems, so it helps a lot to read, so that you're sort of aware of the possibilities of the genre.
Great.
I mean, or the, you know, you don't really have to stay in poetry. You know, obviously now lots of people are interested in hybrid forms.
Right, right. There's so many different forms out there right now.
Yeah,
Well, I thank you for taking the time to come and talk with us today. And it was great meeting you.
yeah, it was great meeting you. Good luck with the project, and yeah.
Thank
Um,
you. Feel free to stop by anytime.
okay, bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.